Is government failing South Africans? Wherever we look, we are not seeing the leadership we deserve, writes Patrick Cairns in this edition of Finweek. Eskom has returned to load shedding, the post office is dysfunctional, our parliament is in shambles, and we have a president who apparently doesn't account to anybody. Are we in trouble? Finweek editor Jana Marais joins me now. Difficult question. Let's get your take on it before we get into the nitty-gritty of the conversation. Is South Africa in trouble?
Look, I think there's a lot of things that should be going much better, and you know, we named a few of them. The post office strike, Eskom is obviously a huge concern. I think we got the idea from about the cover story from Johan Rupert's comments at the Remgro AGM a few weeks back, and I think the real concern for a lot of investors and especially foreign investors is what's happening with our budget deficit. How is government going to finance that? And are we looking at a situation like Ghana faced this year, where public sector workers are demanding massive increases, and we saw what's happened with strikes in the Platinum Belt. There's a lot of issues in the labour movement. There will be a lot of competition for membership. So the unions are going to push very hard for a high increase, and I think that is a huge concern. If they get something more than 7 or 8%, we're really going to be in financial trouble as a state. So I think that's what really worries a lot of people.
A lot of issues and sub-points that you raised, then let's tackle them one by one. Let's start off with the leadership question, because it certainly sounds from the snapshot that you've just given us that at the source of the crisis that we see the country in is a dearth of leadership.
Yes, and I think that's certainly, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but
you've put the president on the cover.
True. But let's look at this example. You look at a country like India, where they've elected a new prime minister, and he made some very business-friendly comments. He's made some right moves. They've seen a huge influx of investment, and I think just coming from a purely business and economics perspective, it would certainly be helpful to have a president who can focus on those kind of issues rather than defend his position in power.
Would you get a sense from the National Development Plan that this is an economic blueprint that could maybe deliver in terms of moving the country forward based on all the concerns that you've perhaps raised?
Look, I think it certainly is a great strategy document, and I think the problem is, as always, implementation. It's 400 pages of wonderful ideas, but very little implementation, and that's really the challenge.
And of course the implementation will always be the policy, and there have been voices and analysts who say that South Africa is in a situation of policy paralysis, where the policy is perhaps just too blunt to address the challenges on the ground. How do you respond to a statement like that?
Look, I think I was at a session yesterday, and to quote Adrian Saville, we need to seriously grow this economy, but it's not going to help us if that growth is not inclusive. And we started this year at growth predictions of 3.5%. We're sitting at 1.4% now, and we were lucky to get to 1.4%. I think the oil prices helped, will help. But then you look at next year, and you look at what commodity prices are doing. I don't know. I don't see a lot of good news at this point, and I really feel we should realize that investors are not doing us a favor to put money here. You really have. There's a lot of competition for where dollars will be going. I think there's a lot of work to be done.
And just before I let you go, of course, a lot of times when leaders from the business fraternity get up and speak in this particular manner, there usually are some pointers or recommendations they would make in terms of how do we then move forward, because the aim is not just to bemoan the state of the country and the economy. Have you picked up any bubbling conversations about how does South Africa take the next step forward? How do we make sure that we get out of the rut that we're in?
I think that's always, again, it's always the same kind of solutions that's put on the table, and I feel again the implementation is the thing that's lacking. I think education is a big topic, and that's a longer term solution. But I think really just from a business perspective, we need to do something about the red tape, about the bureaucracy. We need to be a lot more inviting, and we need to be making it a lot more easier for people to do business here, for entrepreneurs to get access to funding, for kids to get money to be able to go to university and Technicon, get some kind of education that will enable them to create their own jobs rather than waiting for a job from a company or government.